If you've spent any amount of time behind the wheel of a truck, there's a question you've probably asked yourself at least once. Maybe it was long after a day, or maybe it was sitting at a shipper waiting for hours to get unloaded. And maybe it crossed your mind during a snowstorm, or a breakdown, or just after hearing about another driver who had to leave the industry because of their health. So the question is simple. What happens if I can't do this anymore? And it's not a negative question, and it doesn't mean that you hate trucking. In fact, most drivers I know actually enjoy what they do. The freedom, the road, the independence. It's honest work, but the reality is that trucking is one of those careers where your income is directly tied to your ability to keep driving. If something changes, whether it's your health, the economy, fuel prices, family priorities, or simply burnout, your options can disappear a lot faster than most people realize. Now, before anyone misunderstands where I'm going with this, let me be very clear. I'm not here to tell you to quit trucking. I'm not here to tell you that trucking is dead, because it isn't. The world still needs truck drivers, and it always will. But what I am saying is that I think every truck driver deserves a backup plan. Not because you expect something bad to happen tomorrow, but because having options changes the way you look at the future. It gives you confidence, it gives you leverage, and maybe most importantly, it gives you the choices that aren't based on desperation. I spent the last several years building websites, creating online content, and documenting my own journey towards creating multiple streams of income. Along the way, I've met people from all kinds of professions: teachers, nurses, mechanics, first responders, salespeople, retirees, and then something became kind of obvious. Every profession has unique strengths that can be turned into something more. Truck drivers are no different. In fact, I think truck drivers are some of the most underestimated content creators out there because they don't even realize the knowledge that they've built over years on the road. Think about it for a minute. How many times have you explained logbooks or electronic logging devices to someone who had no idea how they worked? How many times have you recommended a GPS or a dash cam, a cooler, a CB radio, work boots, or a mattress because you'd actually used them? And how many rookie drivers have you given advice to? How many stories have you told about weather or breakdowns, difficult deliveries, backing into a possible box, or life on the road in general? Because those conversations happen every single day in truck stops, loading docks, and dispatch offices across North America. And the interesting part is that thousands of people are searching for those exact answers online every single day. One of the biggest misconceptions about building an online income is that you have to be some kind of technology expert or influencer or social media celebrity. Well, that's simply not true. The internet rewards people who are helpful, authentic, and willing to share real experience, and truck drivers already have that experience. You don't need to invent stories. You don't need to pretend to be an expert, or what you need to simply do is explain what you already know in a way that helps someone else. And unfortunately, that's where most truck drivers end up taking the wrong path. They'll start seeing or searching for side hustles, and suddenly they're just bombarded with ideas that sound great on paper, but make absolutely no sense for someone who already spends long hours behind the wheel. Things like day trading or crypto or multi-level marketing, flipping products, more gig work after driving all day. Most of those ideas either demand more physical energy, more stress, fixed schedules, or they put your reputation on the line. After a 10 or 12-hour shift, the last thing most drivers want is another job. They want something that fits around their life instead of taking over. And that's what led me to affiliate marketing and content creation. Not because it was easy, and certainly not because it was fast, but because it worked differently than almost everything else I had looked at. Instead of trading another hour for another dollar, I was building assets that could continue working along after I had finished writing an article or recording a video. It didn't happen overnight, and in fact, it took a lot of learning and a lot of mistakes and a lot of patience. But little by little, those assets began to grow. And that's when I realized I wasn't building a second job. I was building options. One thing that I love about trucking is that drivers already think in systems. You have checklists and you follow the procedures. You inspect your equipment, you solve problems under pressure, you learn routes, regulations, schedules, and documentation. Those exact same skills transfer incredibly well into building a website or creating helpful online content. Writing a clear article explaining how to choose the right GPS, for example, for trucking isn't all that different from teaching a new driver how to plan their first trip. Reviewing a piece of equipment honestly isn't much different than recommending a better fifth wheel grease or a more comfortable seat cushion to another driver. You're simply documenting experience instead of keeping it to yourself. Over the past year, I've been creating something called the Blueprint series through my website, From 0 to 100K. The idea behind these blueprints is actually very simple. Instead of telling people to gamble on a new career or make some huge life-changing decision, I just wanted to create practical 30-day guides that allow people to test an idea before committing to it. So the Truck Driver's Second Income Blueprint was built specifically for drivers who want to explore building something online without quitting their job, without chasing the hype, and without risking everything they've already worked so hard to build. Inside that blueprint, I walk through why trucking is more vulnerable than most people admit, how your existing skills translate surprisingly well into online content, and why most traditional trucking side hustles fail, and how to spend 30 days testing whether building an online business is something you actually enjoy. There are weekly milestones, realistic expectations, content ideas specifically for truck drivers, and an absolute honest explanation of the platform that I've personally used to learn these skills over the past several years. It's not a promise of fast money, because I don't believe those promises. It's simply a structured way to answer one question honestly. Is this something worth pursuing? One of the things I respect most about truck drivers is that they're skeptical. And that's probably a good thing. There are far too many people online promising 6 figures in 30 days or passive income while you sleep without lifting a finger. That's not what this is. Building anything worthwhile takes consistency. It takes patience. It takes learning. But if you can drive professionally through snowstorms, navigate unfamiliar cities, deal with difficult customers, and manage the pressure that comes with this industry, you're already proving every day that you know how to stick with something difficult. Those same qualities are exactly what help people succeed online. Maybe nothing changes after 30 days. Maybe you decide it isn't for you. And that's perfectly okay. At least you'll know because you tested it, instead of wondering, what if, for the next 10 years. But maybe something does click. Maybe you write your first article, and maybe you enjoy teaching. Maybe you realize that everything you've learned over the years behind the wheel actually has value beyond the cab of your truck. That's really the goal of this blueprint. Not to convince you to change careers, but to help you discover whether you can build another pillar beside the one you already have. If that sounds interesting, I've made the Truck Driver's Second Income Blueprint completely free. You can download it using the link in the description below, read through it at your own pace, and decide for yourself whether it's something worth exploring. There's no pressure, there's no deadline or expectations either. And you don't have to make any decisions today. But my hope is simply that it gives you another option to think about the next time you find yourself asking that question. What happens if I can't do this anymore? Because the best time to build a backup plan isn't after you need one, it's while everything is still going well. Thanks so much for watching. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribed to the channel, and shared it with another truck driver who might be thinking about the future too. And if you're already building something on the side while you're still driving, I do kind of want to hear about it, at least in the comments. I read every one of them. And who knows, you might end up inspiring someone else to start building their own Plan B.